The alien armada hung in Earth's skies like a suffocating storm cloud, endless ranks of ships blotting out the stars. To the people who survived below, it was a constant reminder of defeat. Humanity's cities lay in ashes, its armies shattered, its proud fleets reduced to wreckage orbiting forgotten battlefields. The invaders, the Vaith Dominion, had no need to press further. Their doctrine was simple: starve the resistance, strangle the spirit, and wait for surrender. They had conquered 100 worlds this way, and humanity, though stubborn, would be no exception. So they waited. The Dominion warlords spoke among themselves, confident in their inevitable victory. Their leaders will kneel. Their spirit is broken. They are only dust clinging to a ruined world. Their words carried the weight of history. No world had resisted longer than 6 months under Dominion siege. But Earth was silent. No emissary came forward. No transmission of surrender flickered across the void. The only signals were faint bursts of static from shattered satellites and the occasional pulse of old civilian channels, too weak to matter. The Vaith commanders took it as defiance. Yet they were patient hunters. Let the prey squirm. Let hunger bite. Humanity would break soon enough. On the ground, survivors huddled beneath ruined skylines. Families lived in shadows, whispering to children that the stars above no longer belonged to them. Soldiers, weary and bloodied, clutched rifles that had not fired in weeks. And yet, despite the despair, there was a strange, stubborn silence among the people. They did not kneel. They did not send envoys. They simply endured. The Vaith mistook this for pride. They did not understand. For beneath that silence, something stirred. It began in the oceans. Deep within the Mariana Trench, a vibration rippled across the abyss. Alien sonar drones drifted overhead, scanning but found nothing. Miles below, sealed inside pressure-proof vaults, colossal engines hummed to life for the first time in decades. In the mountains, long-abandoned mines shifted. Rock walls split apart to reveal hidden hangars, black hulls sleeping beneath layers of dust. Their surfaces drank in the dim light, swallowing it, as if the ships themselves were shadows carved into steel. And in orbit, among the debris fields of shattered satellites, fragments of twisted wreckage drifted. To the invaders, they were meaningless junk, the detritus of battle. But within those fragments, cloaked generators pulsed faintly, like embers in ash. Humanity had not been silent out of defeat. It had been silent because it was waiting. The moment came without warning. On the bridge of the Dominion flagship, the Grand Marshal of the siege watched Earth's surface with disdain. "The planet is finished," he growled. "We shall announce their surrender tomorrow with or without their words. It is tradition." But before the words left his mouth, alarm screamed. The stars shifted. At first, the Dominion crews thought it was sensor interference, some trick of Earth's electromagnetic storms. Yet the readings only sharpened. Dozens, no hundreds, of objects were rising. From the oceans, from mountains, from hidden bunkers buried beneath the planet's crust, ships emerged. Their engines flared in silence, their hulls painted blacker than the void. The Dominion officers shouted in disbelief. Impossible. Their fleets were destroyed. Their yards obliterated. But impossibility did not stop the shadows from rising. In orbit, Dominion patrol ships moved to intercept. The first wave of human vessels did not fire. They simply drifted upward, silent and patient. Then, as the enemy drew close, the shadows came alive. Beams of light lanced outward, too swift to track. Entire Dominion frigates split apart before their shields even flared. Human warships, sleek, angular, built not for intimidation but for killing, moved with predatory precision. They were not remnants. They were something else entirely. The Shadow Fleet had been humanity's secret gamble. Built in hidden shipyards carved into asteroids, hidden beneath oceans, and disguised as civilian infrastructure, the fleet had been humanity's answer to extinction. When the surface fleets had burned, when the armies had fallen, the Shadow Fleet had waited. Now it rose. On the ground, survivors lifted their eyes to the sky. For weeks they had only seen the glow of alien warships burning in orbit. Tonight, the heavens blazed differently. Streaks of fire tore across the firmament, not bombardments but the trails of enemy ships falling. A mother in a ruined city clutched her child and whispered, "Look, do you see? They're fighting back." Across the wastelands, soldiers who had hidden in tunnels and ruins shouted as the sky lit up with war. Radios crackled with voices, filled not with despair but with orders, with hope. The fleet is rising. The fight is not over. The Dominion armada scrambled. The Grand Marshal, red-eyed with rage, bellowed commands. Cruisers unleashed waves of plasma fire, But the Shadow Fleet fought like ghosts. They vanished into debris fields, reappeared at point-blank range, and tore through enemy formations with silent precision. For every human ship destroyed, 3 Dominion vessels fell. The Vaith were a conquering race, accustomed to crushing defiance with brute force. But this was not defiance. This was a trap laid years in silence. And they had walked straight into it. As dawn broke over Earth, the skies burned with wreckage. Dominion ships tumbled from orbit, streaking into the atmosphere like dying stars. For the first time since the war began, humanity was not merely enduring, it was striking back. The Grand Marshal, aboard his failing flagship, stared at the chaos with disbelief. They were finished, he muttered. They were finished. But Earth had never been finished. It had been patient. It had hidden its knives in shadow, waiting for the moment the enemy leaned too close. And when that moment came, humanity did not surrender. It rose. The war should have ended years ago. Humanity had fought with every weapon, every ship, every desperate trick it could muster, but the alien coalition had been too vast, too powerful, too ancient. One world after another fell to their fleets. Earth itself had burned, its skies choked with fire, its cities shattered, its oceans poisoned with wreckage. The coalition thought it was over. They believed they had broken the will of mankind. All that remained, they assumed, was formality. A broadcast of surrender. A defeated leader offering submission. A planet signing away its freedom to guarantee survival. So they waited. For weeks, the alien armada lingered in orbit, like vultures circling a dying prey. It is inevitable, their admirals said. The humans are stubborn but no more than the others. They will bend. They always bend. But Earth remained silent. Silence was not uncommon in the aftermath of conquest. Some races wept, some raged, but eventually all knelt. And yet humanity's silence felt different. It stretched too long, too stubbornly. It was not the silence of surrender. It was the silence of something unseen. Whispers spread among the lower-ranking officers of the coalition. Why haven't they yielded? Why do they not beg? Others scoffed. Because they are broken. They are dust. They lack even the strength to surrender. None of them realized the truth. Humanity had vanished, not in defeat but in preparation. The signal came in the dead of night. Coalition warships patrolled Earth's orbit, their sensors sweeping, their guns idling in the void. Then across the darkness, a pulse rippled, a code no alien system recognized, a rhythm that carried no meaning to their ears. But to human ears it was clear. A heartbeat. The invaders dismissed it as noise, interference from the broken world below. But then came another. And another. The signal was building, cascading across frequencies, bouncing off moons and wreckage until it became a roar. Then the shadows moved. They appeared at the edge of the system where sensor nets had long gone silent. Black hulls emerged from the void, massive and angular, their surfaces absorbing the faint starlight. They carried no insignia, no signals, no colors, only silence and menace. The coalition scrambled to respond. Unknown contacts. Dozens, no hundreds, approaching. At first the admirals dismissed the threat. Impossible. Their fleets were destroyed. But the sensor screens did not lie. Ship after ship decloaked, peeling away the camouflage of shadows and interference that had hidden them for years. The Phantom Fleet had returned. Humanity had not died when its fleets were shattered. They had vanished. While the coalition pressed its war, humanity's surviving engineers, soldiers, and leaders retreated into the dark, into asteroid belts, hollowed moons, deep void sanctuaries. Their fleets had not been destroyed. They had been perfected. Cloaking, stealth drives, silent weapons, all forged in exile, all waiting for this moment. Now they came not as refugees but as hunters. The first battle erupted without warning. Phantom ships descended on the coalition picket lines, striking from impossible angles. Alien frigates exploded before they could raise shields. Destroyers spun helplessly as their engines died under precision fire. The coalition was caught off guard. Their formations scattered, their admirals shouting conflicting orders. From the darkness came the human fleet's first broadcast. A single voice, harsh and cold, cutting through every channel. You thought we were gone. You thought Earth had surrendered. You were wrong. We have returned. The message ended in silence, but the meaning was clear. Humanity was not finished. Humanity was rising. On the surface of Earth, survivors lifted their heads as the night sky lit with falling wreckage. For years they had seen only alien ships burning their skies. Now they saw something different. Enemy vessels breaking apart under precision strikes, debris raining down like meteors. Children who had grown up knowing only fear pointed at the heavens. Soldiers, weary and broken, found their radios crackling with voices they had thought lost forever. "This is Fleet Command. Earth stands. The fight is not over." Tears fell in the ruins. For the first time in years, hope returned. The coalition tried to rally. Flagships gathered, fleets tightened their lines, admirals roared orders into the chaos. Crush them. Burn them. Show them the futility of resistance. But the Phantom Fleet fought differently. They did not engage in grand, open battles. They struck like knives in the dark. One moment a coalition cruiser formation stood firm, the next moment it was torn apart by ships appearing from nowhere. Human ships moved like shadows, vanishing into fields of debris, striking from blind spots, disappearing again before retaliation could land. It was not war. It was execution. The coalition began to understand their mistake. Humanity had not only hidden, it had been preparing. Every defeat, every lost battle, every broken fleet had been part of a plan, to vanish, to let the coalition grow arrogant, to let them believe victory was absolute. And in that arrogance, the invaders had lowered their guard. Now the Phantoms had returned to finish what they had begun. As dawn broke over Earth, the skies burned. Coalition ships fell in flames, their wreckage streaking across the horizon like dying stars. The people who had thought themselves abandoned, who had whispered their last prayers, saw instead the return of their fleet. The Phantom return. The coalition admirals, broken and desperate, transmitted one final demand. "Surrender, humans. You cannot win forever." Fleet Command's reply was a whisper that carried across every channel, steady and unyielding. "We do not surrender. We endure. And from the shadows we strike." By nightfall the balance had shifted. The coalition no longer sat as conquerors above Earth. They were scattered, bleeding, hunted. Humanity, once thought broken, had revealed its greatest weapon: patience. They had not surrendered. They had waited. And when the time came, they rose from the shadows, not as the defeated, but as the hunters who had returned. The galaxy would never forget the night the stars darkened, and the Phantom Fleet came home. The alien fleet encircled Earth like a crown of fire. Hundreds of warships, their hulls gleaming with alien alloys, burned in orbit, an endless reminder of the conquest to come. The Vrake Dominion had conquered countless worlds this way. Their strategy was simple: overwhelm with force, scorch resistance, and wait for surrender. Entire civilizations had bowed before them. The Vrake expected Earth to follow the same path. Yet days passed. Then weeks. Humanity did not kneel. "Strange," muttered one Dominion warlord as his eyes studied the ruined planet below. "By now most species beg for mercy. Why does this one remain silent?" "Pride?" another scoffed. "Their cities are dust. Their armies broken. Their fleets destroyed. Silence is all that remains of them." They believed it. But Earth's silence was not surrender. It was preparation. Beneath the crust of the planet, hidden in mountains, hollowed caverns, and oceanic depths, a secret plan had been unfolding for decades. When humanity realized it could not match the Dominion in open war, it gambled everything on a desperate strategy. Every resource, every ounce of knowledge, every hidden reserve of steel and fire was poured into a single project. Ships were built in silence, deep where no sensor could reach. Engines were tested in caverns, their roars muffled by layers of rock. Weapons were designed not to dazzle but to kill. It was Earth's last gambit. If the plan failed, humanity would vanish forever. If it succeeded, the stars themselves would burn with the fury of their return. The Dominion grew restless. On the flagship Glorious Rendition, the High Marshal paced before the tactical display. "Their silence grows tiresome," he snarled. "Send the broadcast. Tell the galaxy that Earth has surrendered, whether they admit it or not." "Yes, High Marshal," an officer said. But before the signal could be prepared, alarms shrieked across the bridge. Unidentified contacts. The Marshal turned sharply. "Where?" "Everywhere," the officer cried. "Beneath the oceans, in the mountains, in orbit among the wreckage." The stars shifted. One by one ships rose. From the Mariana Trench, titanic silhouettes emerged, their hulls gleaming with streams of water as they broke the surface. Their engines lit, tearing through waves as they surged into the sky. In the Andes and Himalayas, mountains split apart. Hidden hangar doors crumbled open, revealing vast black vessels that had slept in silence for decades. Their launch thrusters ignited, rock and ice collapsing behind them as they clawed their way into the heavens. And in orbit, Among what the Dominion thought was mere wreckage, shadows came alive. Hulls cloaked in debris shuddered, engines igniting, the illusion of junk stripped away to reveal warships armed and waiting. The Dominion officers froze, eyes wide. It cannot be. But it was. The human fleet had risen. At first, the Dominion commanders believed it was a last act of defiance, a desperate handful of ships. They ordered their cruisers to intercept. But the battle told another story. The first wave of Dominion ships rushed forward, only to be torn apart by precision fire. Human vessels struck with uncanny coordination, each volley timed to exploit gaps in alien formations. Dominion shields flared and collapsed. Engines exploded. Wreckage scattered into orbit. The High Marshal roared with fury. Impossible. Their fleets were annihilated. A voice cut across every channel, calm and cold. You destroyed the fleets you saw. Not the ones we built in shadow. The channel fell silent. And the slaughter began. On Earth's surface, survivors raised their eyes to the sky. For years they had watched helplessly as alien ships burned their world. Now they watched fire fall for a different reason. Dominion vessels streaked down in flames, their hulks tearing across the atmosphere like meteors. In the ruins of New York, a child pointed skyward. Look, Mama. The stars are falling. His mother's eyes filled with tears. Not stars, love. Our enemies. In hidden bunkers, scattered soldiers heard the call of their fleet and surged to life. Radios crackled with voices. Orders. Hope. For the first time in years, humanity's resistance felt the tide turn. The Dominion retaliated with fury. Battleships unleashed storms of plasma, shredding entire districts below. Cruisers poured fire into orbit, their barrages lighting the void with flame. But the human fleet did not fight like their enemies. They did not charge in broad lines or clash in predictable formations. They struck and vanished, their ships slipping into shadows, only to emerge at point-blank range. Each kill was surgical, each strike devastating. The Dominion were warriors of domination. Humans were predators of survival. And predators do not fight fair. The High Marshal's command ship shook violently as a barrage tore through its escort fleet. They are ghosts, one officer whispered. They fight like shadows. They are desperate, the Marshal thundered. And desperation cannot outlast the Dominion. But even as he spoke, another explosion ripped through their ranks. Dozens of Dominion warships, vessels that had once terrorized entire systems, were nothing but burning debris in Earth's orbit. By dawn, the skies belonged not to the Dominion but to humanity. The High Marshal, his flagship crippled and engines failing, stared in disbelief at the holoscreens. The human fleet, black and silent, hovered above Earth like avenging wraiths. Their hulls bore no banners, no colors, only shadows. The Marshal slammed a fist against his console. They were broken, he growled. They were finished. Yet the truth stood before him, undeniable. Earth had never been finished. It had been waiting. The final broadcast came from Fleet Command, transmitted across every frequency the Dominion used. The voice was steady, unyielding, and cold with promise. You thought Earth would surrender. You thought us broken. But we were building. We were waiting. And now we rise. The message ended. And as silence reclaimed the stars, the Dominion fleet burned. Humanity had gambled everything, and the gamble had paid off. The last gambit had succeeded. And the galaxy would learn that Earth was not a world that surrendered. It was a world that endured, waited, and struck back from the shadows.